comes to Dr. Deepak Orlak, who is a dentist and CEO of the Toothfairy app. Just firstly, briefly, what is the Toothfairy app?
Hi, morning, Henry. Yeah, Toothfairy app, it's been born out of a group of us dentists to kind of help relieve some of the pressure the NHS is seeing. So emergencies, second opinions, general advice. We're looking to actually help patients and do a lot of prevention. Prevention is key regards to all of these access issues.
We've been discussing this for, only 10 minutes, and already there are floods of messages coming in from people saying NHS dentistry is virtually non-existent. Why is that in your view?
Yeah, it is a sad reality. Look, this hasn't happened overnight. It's a result of long-term system failure. And you talked about COVID. COVID just accelerated it. It didn't cause it. What you're finding is a system where dentists aren't being rewarded to sit with their patients, to educate their patients, to personalize the treatment care. What we're being rewarded to do is volume. It's all about volume, crisis management. We sometimes are feeling a bit like firemen and firefighters, the way that we're dealing with emergencies. It needs to be a system where actually it's the same way we were trained. How do we keep people out of a dentist chair? How do we let them enjoy life and spend less time drilling and filling their teeth? Because as you talked about the children, the first time we're seeing a lot of these children, which is absolutely horrible, is when they're in pain. At that point, prevention's already failed. And when you're in pain, it's already a disease process already established. Prevention at that point has already failed them.
Well, what's the solution then to get people seen and, crucially, people who don't want to and indeed cannot afford to go private? What's the solution to make sure they're actually seen by a dentist more regularly than once every sort of 5 years in some cases?
Yeah, the key thing here is reform. Reform of this really poor contract. And it's not just from the monetary way where dentists are paid. It's actually the way that dentists are allowed to treat their patients. Dentists are leaving because they're finding an alternative way to care for their patients. They're able to reward and see how patients are doing incredibly well throughout the whole journey of their care. What we're really seeing here now is the lack of materials that dentists can use, the overhead prices are increasing, the volume of patients is now increasing, and their needs are even more complex than they were even 5-10 years ago. And that contract that was built many years ago, over a decade ago, dentists are still stuck within that. And the only alternative is to say to NHS, sorry, we just cannot perform dentistry within this, handing that contract back and asking their patients to seek if they can find a better way, which unfortunately, as you said, can cost more, especially when treatment becomes more complex and in late stages. We really want to avoid that. We want to spend more time examining, preventing, and helping patients stay out of that dental chair.
There was a report by, I mentioned right at the start, Policy Exchange, which very much a think tank on the right, but their idea was that there should be a dental voucher for adults worth £150 pounds. I know it's expensive, but not that expensive. £150 a year, which could be used with any dental professional, and that individuals would get that. Is that something that would be sensible in order to actually get people over the line to go to their local dentist?
It's just, again, framing the problem as though it was one that is monetary and money. It isn't. Money right now and the injection of funds is just keeping the lights on, but it's actually going to be reform that's going to keep the service alive. You can't keep pouring money into a broken system and expecting different results. Dentists are asking the government to build them a system which allows them to treat their patients properly. And vouchers and his extra funding here and there, it's just pots of money being moved around. And what we're seeing is a large amount of patients going to A&E, doing self-treatment at home. We're really worried because this doesn't seem to be getting better, and we keep iterating the same thing to different governments, which is let's look at the contract, let's look at the system.
We need more dentists, as you know, Deepak. What are your notes from being a dentist? Would you persuade young aspiring dentists to go into the role? Why did you decide to look at people's teeth for a living?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's an incredible role because you're a key member of the community. You see generations of families with you as you grow older. It's incredibly rewarding because people talk about dentistry as one that gives them confidence, as you said, takes them out of pain, really, really does help their quality of life. It's an incredible career. We're trained in the NHS. We really do believe in the ethics of the NHS. And a lot of dentists want to stay in the NHS, but it's certain things need to change for us to make sure that patients get that care they deserve.
Thank you for your time. Dr. Deepak Orlak is dentist and CEO of the Toothfairy app. What is the situation in your area when it comes to NHS dentistry? Have you managed to get an appointment in the last few years even? 0345 6060